Hello, everyone. I'm Austin Speaker, and this is the A.K.47 Podcast with my buddy Ken Stables here. We're going to dive right into this because I really just can't wait anymore.
There's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about, and we're gonna fulfill some promises that we made in the last podcast, and get to them in this one. But John Farrell, see ya, guy.
See ya. Yeah, I mean, that surprises me a little bit, but considering the way they've underperformed in the playoffs of late, I mean, the Astros were the better team. They were the superior team by far. They had the better offense. McCullers wasn't at his peak like we talked about last time, but they still have the better pitching staff, in my opinion, because Chris Sale faults.
Which, by the way, you weren't kidding about Charlie Morton.
No.
96 with run. Nasty.
Yeah, he hit when he was pitching against the Yankees in, I think, May.
I think he hit 98, 99 a couple times. Yeah.
He was like, where did that come from? He was like low 90s before that. Changes arm angle, 8 miles an hour difference.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Charlie Morton did really well, and like you said, the Astros were just a better team. So it's not like you can really fault John Farrell for that. The Astros, I mean, they're 99. They were 100 wins. Yeah, they were 100 wins. They were a game or two behind Cleveland for best record, but they were 100 wins. They were, just incredible all year. You look up and down that lineup, there's no give. When you look at up and down the Red Sox lineup, Rafael Devers started to show his true colors in September.
Yep.
Dustin Pedroia isn't exactly what I call a true leadoff hitter. He's Dustin Pedroia. Can't take anything away from him, but he's not what Altuve brings to the table. He's actually not even their leadoff hitter. It's Springer.
Yeah.
But still, can't fault John Farrell. But I always wondered if he really had discipline on this team.
Well, being a manager's tough in Major League Baseball because you're always the scapegoat no matter what. And even though you don't control the players...
Which we'll get to Girardi in a minute, by the way.
Yeah, and you're not given the players, you don't control the players, you put out the lineup, and you make pitching changes. I mean, there's more to it than that, but in the game, that's what you do. There's
a saying in baseball that players win the games and managers lose the games. Players go out there, they pitch well, they play good defense, and they get all the credit. But if there's a caught stealing with an inside-out bat at the plate... Like if this used to drive me crazy. Whenever we had Gardner on first and Jeter would be up, and we wouldn't hit and run, because he's gonna hit a single to right field, hit and run, create that hole, get Gardner over to third. So when managers do or don't do that in wrong times, or maybe they go to a different reliever, Dusty Baker caught a lot of stuff over the weekend because he went to a lefty specialist with an over 5 ERA to face Almora. Actually brought him in to face Schwarber, and they pinch hit with Almora instead of bringing in Kinsler.
Did he bring in Sammy Solis?
Yes, it was Solis.
Okay.
So, it's just managers lose games and players win games. So maybe the Red Sox were looking at the stat sheet and thinking to ourselves, if Farrell didn't make X amount of moves, we would have Y amount of wins.
Well, and you could say that for Girardi, too. You go back to Game 2, he kind of lost that game for the Yankees.
What do you mean, kind of?
Okay, he very much.
Yeah, let's dive into that. Oh my God! So we're watching the game. I was watching at my place. Kenny was watching it at his place, and it happens with the ball ticking off of the knob of Chisenhall's bat, and Sanchez catches it, and then I just get a giant text message in all caps: "Challenge it! Challenge it!" Okay, Ken. I'm thinking to myself, they're gonna challenge it. They have to challenge it. Why wouldn't they challenge it? Oh my God, they're not challenging.
What do they have to lose in that situation?
The 7th inning, you're up 5 runs, bases loaded. That would have been a caught foul tip, strike 3 to end the inning off of Chisenhall. And Sanchez is catching it. He saw it, he heard it, everything, and he just pointed right to Girardi and said, "You better challenge this."
Well, and Brett Weber is known for being one of the better replay guys in the league for the Yankees. He's caught things that no one's ever caught before. I mean, barely popping up on second base after a slide challenge, he's out. It's like, wow, I didn't even see that. But this one was more obvious to me. I mean, it clearly didn't hit his hand. It deflected somehow. He didn't react like it hit his hand. What do you have to lose?
When they showed replay, I could hear it. I don't know about you, but I could hear it.
I did too.
And some people were like, "Oh, well, maybe it hit bone." No, it didn't hit him at all. It didn't even look like it hit anything at all. It looked like it just went right into Sanchez's glove. But I couldn't believe it.
The way Chisenhall reacted, he knows it didn't hit him. I mean, he didn't act. He just stood there.
He was trying to just squeeze out another ball and try to work a walk, maybe.
I guess, but in that situation, what do you have to lose? You have 2 challenges at that point.
Did you hear his reasoning?
What?
Girardi's reasoning in the press conference? I didn't want to disrupt the flow of the pitcher. As a former pitcher, nothing disrupts my flow more. I don't care if you got to come out and talk to me about runners on second, what sign are we throwing down? I don't care if you got to talk to me about bunt coverages or whatever. Nothing disrupts a pitcher's flow more than thinking you got a called third strike and the umpire doesn't give it to you, or thinking that it went off a foul tip off the hitter's bat and you didn't get the call.
Yeah.
That messes with you way more.
Well, mentally, because you shut it off after that. You go, okay, at the end of the inning, I'm going right back in. Because I pitched when I was younger, too. I totally understand. And it's not like Chad Green's, like, works super... He's not like Wade Miley with, like, 8 seconds in between pitches. You know, he takes his time.
Right.
He works somewhat fast, but he's a really laid-back pitcher. Like, I don't think that would have... I don't think he cared.
I think it bothered him more that Girardi wasn't on his side for it.
Oh, no, it bothered me, too. You have nothing to lose. You have 2 challenges.
It's kind of like
game's on the line.
It was kind of like Girardi saying, like, I don't agree with Sanchez's. I don't agree with what Sanchez saw. I don't agree with what Chad Green saw. I don't agree with what Todd Frazier at third base saw because he was also pointing to the dugout.
Yeah, if I'm Brett Weber, the Yankees replay coordinator, I'm calling the phone right away and be hey, challenge now, no questions about it.
Right.
Even if you have any slightest of doubt, challenge it. Because in that situation, if you get that call, that's the inning. You're up 5 at that point. That's it.
It was tough to watch.
It was.
Whole thing.
I was yelling. Don't worry.
We both were. So the Astros took the ALDS from the Red Sox in 4. To go back on our predictions on the Yankees-Indians series, I said the Yankees would win in 4, and if they had challenged that call, they would have won in 4.
Yes.
But here we are in Game 5. You said Yankees in 5.
Yes.
So what are you going to see from tonight's matchup?
I think CC is going to turn back the clock. I'm hoping he's having his slider working on the back door because that's key for falling behind.
He needs to get that call.
Right, and when he falls behind hitters, he goes slider, usually 2-1 back door to righties, and that throws him off. That's how he gets back in counts usually.
He's had really good command of lately is his sinker.
Yes.
Low and away on righties. Looks like a juicy 90-mile-per-hour fastball on the lower third, outer quadrant kind of, but like over the plate, and then it has really good life to it. With 90, it has really good dip and late life on it at 90 miles an hour.
If CC knew what he knew now, pitching in 2004, imagine what dominance he could have had.
2007 was a Cy Young season with Cleveland.
Well, yeah, I'm just throwing out a ballpark year, but yeah, okay, 2007 will go.
Okay.
Yeah, if he knew what he did now in 2007.
In terms of what command with his 98.
Just how to be a pure pitcher. Because back then he's more of a thrower.
He was, but 98, in 2007, let's flash back to 2007. CC threw 98, topped at 99 at times. Wicked changeup, wicked slider. He was, back then, 98 was like, oh my God, he's threw faster than 95.
Yeah, he's a god. But no, imagine if that CC could throw a 2-1 slider on the outside edge. He couldn't do that at that point. He was all fastball to get ahead in counts.
Yeah.
So he would have been in a demigod status in the league if he knew what he did now.
Well, he kind of was back then. I mean, remember he got traded to the Brewers, and he threw 2 games in a row, each on 3 games west, to get the Brewers into the playoffs.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, even more so than he was then, like dominance-wise. Okay. He could have been easily the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah. I just think the Indians are going to win tonight. Pulling for the Yankees. I want to see it happen. I don't think it will. Corey Kluber. I know what you're thinking. The Yankees touched him up the first time. He left a slider over the plate, and Sanchez crushed it. Single here, single there. Aaron Hicks, 3-run bomb. See you later, ball. But he's not going to get hit twice in a row.
No.
It's Kluber.
They call him Klubot for a reason.
Right.
He's now reprogrammed to be on his game.
Exactly.
And I think we're going to see Ace Kluber tonight. And hopefully we see Ace Sabathia. It's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be an 8-7 bullpen game.
Like it was last time. Yeah. It has the potential for each pitcher to go into the 7th inning at a 1-1 game.
Yeah. And I'd like to see it. Pitchers' duels are exciting to me.
Oh, that's another thing we got to get into a later podcast. I'll bring it up real quick. What's more exciting, and me and Ken share this, we talk about this all the time, we share the like-mindedness of this, and we're probably in the minority. What's more exciting, a 10-9 blowout home run fest, or a 1-0, a 1-0 pitcher's duel, and the one game deciding run is on like a squeak single in the 8th.
And
spoiler alert, we both think that the latter of that is more exciting.
Right. And my example to those who don't agree that pitchers' duels are more exciting than home run derbies in a game, Or go watch the Tanaka-Darvish showdown in the Yankee Stadium when Darvish was on the Rangers back in, this is like early, middle of summer, where it was neck and neck every inning. And it had me on the edge of my seat.
I'll tell you what, that game, and also contrary to what Rob Manfred said, in that no one likes to watch 15-plus innings of baseball, the best game I've ever watched in my life was Burnett-Josh Beckett in Yankee Stadium, 2009. Both pitchers went 9 complete shutout innings, and then A-Rod off of Junichi Tozawa in the bottom of the 15th.
I remember that. They
hit a walk-off home run. That's a game where I was watching it with my father, and my brother was on the road playing baseball at the collegiate level, and we were, all three of us were texting each other, going nuts over it, and I remember exactly where I was when that whole thing unfolded. Those are the games to watch, man.
Wait a second. Rob Manfred said, "Who wants to watch 50?" He really said that?
He really said it in his defense of trying to speed up pace of play. He said, and I'm quoting him here, "No one, not the majority or not half of our percentage. No, he said no one wants to watch 15-plus innings of baseball." Actually, I think the exact number he said was no one wants to watch 18 innings of baseball. And I disagree with him. I could not disagree with him more.
First of all, what do the number of innings have to do with pace of play? That has nothing to do with it. That's how fast the pitcher's working. So I don't know what his gripe is about that. And secondly, do NBA fans not like double overtime games?
I love free.
Isn't overtime exciting?
Remember? Okay,
I mean,
okay.
that's
Well,
basically what it is.
We're stationed out of Western New York here. Let's go back to some New York bias. Syracuse, UConn, 6 overtimes.
Kemba Walker was the point
I
guard.
remember watching that. I watched that entire game from tip to the last buzzer.
Yeah, and they were gassed, but it was fun.
It was
and
awesome.
it was exciting. Because that's what's fun.
Oh God!
That when the stakes are risen and the time is whittled, it's fun.
We got a whole lot to cover, so we'll get to that at a later date. I could probably rant to you about that for an entire 47-minute podcast, but
yeah,
we can't do that right now. We got to go on to me being wrong, which I said I think the Diamondbacks are my dark horse.
Okay,
I was wrong. They got swept.
Right,
and it wasn't close.
Well, the Dodgers got their slump out of the way later on in the season, so they had to be hot eventually again, right? I mean, that's sort of the law of averages.
And the same thing that happened with Rafael Devers, I didn't think was going to happen to Cody Bellinger, but I thought don't be surprised if Bellinger slows down at the end of September. He sees better pitching in October. Yep. Don't be surprised if Bellinger, maybe he'll hit a home run, maybe he'll get a clutch double, but maybe he won't. Maybe he'll strike out a bunch. Mm-hmm. Well, he was the Dodgers in their clinching win in Arizona.
Yeah, no, he's something else, and Devers definitely slowed down, especially toward the latter half of September. He hit, I think, 185 over his last 35 at-bats in September.
Gross.
Well, I mean, he's a brand-new rookie. I mean, once video goes around, the scouting reports are shared, more is learned about him.
Same thing that happened with Judge. He had that 175 stretch in August.
Right. I mean, anyone can get called up from AAA and be on fire for a week and a half, but it takes a really good player, an advanced player, above average player, I'd say, to learn what people are doing against you and adjust to that. Adjustments. Baseball is a game of adjustments and matchups when it boils down to it.
Absolutely. So the Diamondbacks got swept by the Dodgers. Cubs Nationals plays before the Yankee game today on Wednesday, and that's because of the rain out on Tuesday. So here's an interesting situation. It was going to be on Tuesday. It was going to be Roark versus Arrieta. Mm-hmm. And now it got pushed back a day. So you got Strasburg on full rest. You also you either have Lester on full rest or Lester on 3 days. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he's on full as well.
Yeah.
Because Arrieta pitched 1 and Lester pitched 2.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
And Quintana with the pushback would be available out of the bullpen. So who do you start? I'll start with Washington. Who do you start? Do you start Tanner Roark and have Strasburg go Game 5, or do you start Strasburg Game 5 and then probably Strasburg Game 4 and then probably Gio Game 5?
No, I'd go Strasburg Game 4. I mean, I think he's been sick. I think he's had the flu. He's had something, but he said he's feeling better and could start today.
Yep.
So
and in a dire situation, Scherzer said he's available out of the bullpen.
Yeah, use what you have. Just go down the hierarchy.
I have no doubt that Dusty Baker's going to make the right move here. You can't wait for the next game when there might not be a next game.
No,
Strasburg goes out there. You got to force Game 5, and then you got to choose between Roark and Gio. Gio's been better all year. you go with him.
I'd go with Gio. Roark's hasn't had the year he did a few years ago, or even last year.
Right. So then the Cubs, Jake Arrieta had a great second half.
He did.
It's not the Jake Arrieta we all know and love from a year and a half ago, but he still had a great second half.
Yeah.
So do you go with him or Lester?
I'd go with Arrieta. Yeah.
Because then you still have Lester for Game 5 when you need it.
That's what I'm saying. Because then you go with Lester. He's already used to pitching on short rest now. He's used in his career in general. He's used to pitching on short rest. Quintana, use him out of the bullpen, sort of like in a Chad Green role.
Yep.
You know, for a situation, there's a few lefties coming up. Ugh, bring him in. Don't even wait. And Quintana can give you whatever he wants.
Right, and to look forward, whoever wins the NLDS and moves on to the NLCS, if the Cubs do Arrieta and Lester, which they probably will, if they need to go 5 games, then you got Jose Quintana starting the first game of the NLCS. Very solid pitcher. Really good. Not taking anything away from him. We all saw what he could do with Colombia. Well, basically, Team Jose Quintana in the World Baseball Classic.
Hey, they're an up-and-coming baseball country. Giovanni Urshela for the Indians is Colombian.
Yeah, Mr. 2 or 3 errors the other night. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, hey, it's the playoffs. Different animal.
You're right. And then the Nationals like, oh, we can use Strasburg, and then if we win with Gio and we go to the NLCS, great. Scherzer starts game 1 for them. So neither club is in a bad situation, whoever comes out of that division series. And the Dodgers, either way, are going to have a tough matchup. Now, here's an interesting one for the ALCS. Everyone was talking about who would the Astros. If you're the Astros, who would you rather face? And everyone on Fox Sports 1 said the Astros would rather face the Yankees, except Keith Hernandez said the Astros would rather face the Indians.
Wow. What's the reasoning behind it? Because the Indians have the deeper pitching staff.
So Keith Hernandez said the Yankees still have a good enough pitching staff, and a far more explosive offense,
and better bullpen,
Keith said the best bullpen in the game
easily. Oh, and the Indians,
which I would agree with. I don't know why I sound so surprised by that. They probably do.
Well, the Indians I'd say are 2 or 3, probably 2, with Cody Allen, Andrew Miller, Brian Shaw.
I love Brian Shaw.
Boy,
throws across his body as a 96 mile per hour cutter. I love it.
Oh yeah, and on the hands, he's really good. He's really underappreciated, I think. But no, I see Keith Hernandez's take, but the Indians scare me more as an all around team than the Yankees do.
That's the thing. Can the Yankees put up 10 runs without batting an eye? Yes, they can.
Yes.
Can they put up 0 runs and only get 1 hit? Yes, they can. Trevor Bauer showed that in Game 1.
Right.
It's tough. Either way, it's going to be a good championship series. But the Astros, I think, have a better chance of beating the Yankees than they do beating the Indians.
That I will agree with.
Because Yankees starting pitching, Tanaka was great. And Severino had a bounce-back start. But if they get to see Sabathia twice or Gray twice and Sabathia once, the Astros, I mean, first of all, Gray was on the A's. They've seen plenty of Sonny Gray already. I'm sure they have a book on him.
Well, and the Astros are made to kill lefties. If you go around their infield and outfield, their catcher, Evan Gattis can start behind catcher.
Well, he can, but he's usually their DH.
But you could, if you wanted to go all righty against the lefty,
if you wanted to, over Brian McCann.
Even though McCann would probably start.
You could. Okay, so first base, Yuli Gurriel, righty. Altuve, righty. Correa, righty. Bregman, righty. Marwin Gonzalez, switch hitter. Reddick's a lefty, but Springer's a righty in center field. And Jake Marisnick?
I think he's hurt, isn't he?
It's a good question.
I thought
because Reddick's usually in right and Springer's usually in left. So that would be their one lefty would be Josh Reddick because Beltran would be their DH. And he's a switch hitter.
Anytime you have less than 2 lefties in the lineup against the lefty, you're fine. And they're made to kill lefties. So that's what would scare me about the Astros. And it's not like the righties can't hit righties either. Their offense is just so good.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no weakness with them.
Exactly. And I think whoever wins this division series game tonight between the Yankees and Indians, they have a tough matchup for the Astros. The Astros also have a tough matchup. I mean, everyone in October is a great team, and if everyone plays to their full capability, we can sit here and talk about it all day. No one knows what's going to happen. If you have 2 teams and everyone is playing to their full potential, I mean, Judge is playing to his full potential, and Springer and Altuve is playing to his full potential, and Tanaka's pitching to his full potential, no one knows what's going to happen.
No, well, that's the beauty of playoff baseball. You just don't know. People think they know, but no one really knows.
Exactly.
Because statistically speaking, baseball in the playoffs is the least predictable sport. So, no, really. Statistically speaking.
I'm just laughing about something you said the other day, which, again, we will talk about in the future. We can't quite get to it right now. I'm just gonna say it. Ken, you want to tell the folks the conversation you had about a hockey fan saying that hockey was more random than baseball?
Yeah, some guy tried justifying that hockey was more random than baseball. And so I challenged him. I go, okay, how about we predict the top 5 point getters for every NHL team this year, and you try to predict the top 5 hits leaders for every team next year.
No one in
baseball.
spring training would have had Castro for the Yankees.
Nobody would have thought, even in spring training, nobody thought Greg Bird would do what he did. I mean, you don't know. In hockey, I think is right up there 2 or 3 in least in variability, high in variability. But when it compared to baseball, that just takes the cake. It was just ignorant for him to say.
I think because I remember talking about this. Your point was if the Coyotes played the Rangers in a 40-game series, the Rangers would win a good majority of it, and it would be very well predicted. If the Padres played the Dodgers in a 40-game series, would the Dodgers win it? Probably. But how many games? And maybe Clayton Richard throws 9 innings of shutout ball. You just don't know.
Because baseball is such a compartmentalized sport and individual-based, even though it's a team sport. It's very individual. You'd agree with me.
Yeah.
There's more variability to it. More error, there's just a higher chance for error. Hockey's a very free-flowing game. If you catch fire, if you throw your top line out there for 18 minutes a night, chances are you're going to win with a healthy Sidney Crosby. Yeah. Just an example. There's no given. The best teams every year in baseball lose at least 70 games. That's a lot of games to lose. I'm just saying, in a best of 40 between the Coyotes and Rangers compared to the Padres and Dodgers, I'd say the Padres take 17, 18 of those games.
And the Coyotes would take what from the Rangers?
9 or 10.
Exactly. Single digits.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially because hockey, like I said, the variability is lower than baseball. There's strategies, different aggressiveness and forecheck, different ways to trap in the neutral zone. But once you got it down, you can't be stopped.
Right. That's
like
pretty much it. Just look at what the Penguins have done with their Crosby dynasty. Look what the Capitals can done on any given night.
I mean, the Devils squeaked in as the 8th seed in the Stanley Cup back in, I want to say, 2010. But that happens in any sport. The Royals won the World Series. They were the wild card team. But that's not my point. I'm talking about the sport itself.
Right.
So.
And I agree with you 100%. We just got to move along because that's
right.
another thing we could talk about on the later.
I just want to get that off my chest. That's all.
Today's about ranting.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna move back in our in our last podcast. We mentioned that Ken and I have discussed what would happen if you took probably I don't know if you want to make it up to a player vote or a fan vote or just an all-around national vote. Just who's the most hated guy in baseball per position.
Right.
And if you put those guys on a team, let's go through it. Kenny and I have our teams locked and loaded.
This is basically what we call our not-so-nice player team.
Yeah, there's a few words that you can use, but we'll stick with that for now.
Yeah.
Catcher, me and you agree on catcher. He's just... I just hate looking at him. Martin Maldonado just bugs me on so many levels.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with Martin Maldonado, he's the starting catcher on the Angels. Never really had a starting role until last year when he sort of platooned with Carlos Perez, and then really broke out this year. But he's just a very obnoxious guy.
He is.
He's he pats his glove behind the plate every pitch. He does a lot more than other catchers. He's just boisterous. Something rubs me the wrong way about him.
As a pitcher, I always wanted my catcher to be calming, Yeah.
Let
me know, if you gotta talk to me, hey, you're flying open a little bit, just keep your shoulder closed, locate low and away. Mechanical adjustments. I feel like Martin Maldonado just doesn't do that. He just says, hey, here's my glove. Throw it to my glove right here. And then he's doing that. It bugs the hitters every pitch, like you said. He's doing that. He's very loud and in your face. And no offense to Martin Maldonado, he's a major league catcher. But among other major league catchers, he's not that good.
He's middle tier, I'd say. He's good, but he's not, top 15 good. He's maybe top 15, but not.
If he is, he's number 14 or 15.
Yeah, he's middle of the road catcher.
Okay.
And during the Yankees series, he would pick off to bases and just stare him down. It's like, dude.
I would say over the course of a whole season, I would argue I would rather have Romine than Maldonado. I would argue it. Just because when Romine's limited. In his limited role, if you took what he did in a limited role and transcribed it, I know you can't because there's a difference between a 45 game sample and a 162 game sample. But if you did, he would have 80 plus RBIs.
Yeah, last year. This year he didn't hit as much.
No.
But I still like, Romine's a great guy. He sticks up for his teammates. He's well-spoken. Maldonado's just...
Calls a great game, too.
He does. And something just wrong. He rubs me the wrong way, especially during that Yankees series when they're in the Bronx.
Moving on to first base, I had Hanley Ramirez, and then I also didn't like Logan Morrison with what he said about Gary Sanchez because, I mean, he deserved to be in that home run derby, and he backed it up in play as well.
Yeah.
You wrote Miguel Cabrera.
Yes.
Is it because of what happened in the Yankees series?
I thought highly of him before the brawl. I thought he was
He looked like a crybaby.
Yeah.
He was having a down year, the Tigers were having a down year, and they were losing that game, and it's just... Okay, why do you gotta take it out?
He was just getting into it with everyone, and that's not like him. But he's something about him this year. Like I don't know if he's in decline. I know he's had back issues, but he just isn't the same Miggy. That
he's not.
No, he just seems like he has an edge to him now, and I don't like it. And Lomo, I say because whenever he doesn't get a call to go his way, he kind of rolls his eyes and steps out of the box. It's like, come on, we get it. You know, they're human. Most of the time, they make the right calls.
Right.
But you don't have to show him up every pitch.
And again, Lomo before this year, he wasn't good.
No.
He had not even one full year with the Marlins. He had like a few month stretch with the Marlins where he was crushing home runs. He had a few month stretch with this year's Rays where he was crushing home runs. He's not that good overall.
He's good, but he's not
that good. No. I'm using the word that. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying he's not that good.
He's not that good, no.
Where he can be, as vocal as he is and try to back it up and not always back it up.
First half Logan Morrison is not indicative of real life Logan Morrison.
Right. So second base, me and you, this was super easy.
This is unanimous.
Rougned Odor.
I think he speaks for himself. He's 5'5". He's got the huge goatee. He's in everyone's face, punching people.
Bautista said it's going to take something more than 540 pounds to take me down. That made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Bautista fan either, but that made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, Rougned Odor is he's a pest.
I'm just gonna give you all a spoiler alert. I'm looking down our teams, and if you were to combine these, if this was an actual team, this is a pretty good team.
This is a playoff team. Yeah. I mean, it is, but
it's a pretty good team. Third base, like you said, very good player, one of the best in the game, one of the best third basemen in the game, Manny Machado. And he is just such a little blank.
Yeah, well, he's had instances where he gets in people's faces, and I say that about all these guys, but they have had instances. More than one, where they've gotten in people's faces or been known for something that's been in the news. Yep. And Manny Machado, I remember a few years ago, threw his bat toward third base because he was protesting getting hit.
Yeah,
in the A's
that
series.
was when Donaldson was on the A's.
That was when Donaldson was, that was the O's A's series, and they got into the huge brawl after that. And it's like, was that necessary?
I remember he was in a pickle, and he tried to run out of he tried to dodge a tag, and Donaldson, reached for him and tagged him on the knee, got the out.
Tag.
And then Machado took it personally, thinking that he was personally going on purpose going after his knee.
And he threw his helmet at him.
Right.
It's like, dude, he's trying to tag you. Don't take it seriously. Okay. I don't know. He's very...
To me, the shortstop is kind of quiet that you chose. I'm curious to have your take on it. What's your beef with Yunel Escobar?
My beef with Yunel Escobar is that Mike Scioscia has benched him numerous times for not running out ground balls. And his lack of effort. And that, to me, qualifies you as being a not very nice person in the game of baseball, for lack of a better word. I don't want to say it.
Play hard.
Play hard.
It's that simple.
This isn't basketball. You're not running.
Adam Jones back in 2011 did run on a ground ball. Buck Showalter sat him down in his office, showed him the tape, said, "You're not playing tomorrow. You're gonna have a mental day. Think about what you did." And then since 2011, perennial All-Star, 20-80 guy every single year, while batting over 280 every single year. He's an All-Star most years.
He's a good model of consistency.
I'm not saying Yunel Escobar's like that, but
he's good.
But to constantly have that problem and to have it not give you a jolt in your butt, that's a problem.
And there's video of Yunel Escobar hitting a home run and jawing at the other dugout as he's rounding third base. So don't do that.
Speaking of guys that do that, Yasiel Puig would be starting in left field for this team.
I loved Puig when he came up just because of his grit and effort and the way he played the game, but after
I don't know about effort. He had a lot of intensity.
Intensity.
I don't want you to mistake intensity for effort.
No,
guys can play hard with a lot of fire on their chest, But there's a difference between that and like giving effort every day.
Okay.
Like, what's a good example? Derek Jeter. Never heard anything from him. Never heard him say anything. But if he showed up, gave 110 every day. Yasiel Puig, he runs around with his hair on fire, which is great. People love to see that, but he doesn't give effort every day.
Okay, I agree with that. I changed my stance on that because you're right. There's a difference. But when he wants to, he plays hard.
When he wants to, he plays hard, and he can change a game with one swing of the bat.
Yes.
But boy, does he just talk.
He talks and
he's
a bit of a clubhouse cancer, and he's gotten into it before with Dave Roberts.
He's on my list for one simple reason. Off of Zach Greinke, he hit a line drive up the middle, a single in the center field, and he chucked the bat about 20 feet.
Yeah. I mean, dude, come on. There's just some of these moments that these guys have had. It's like, dude, that's all I can say. Come on.
Oh, God. And no one can forget the Carlos Gomez, Brian McCann moment at home plate when McCann was on the Braves. Who was Gomez on at that point? He wasn't on the Rangers. He was on the Brewers.
I think he was on the Brewers.
He was on the Brewers.
Yeah.
So Gomez will be starting in center field for this team.
He takes the platinum. If there was a platinum glove, or
if this was
a platinum personality, Carlos Gomez wins. And it's
you're talking about in this type of personality.
In this lineup that we
So
have.
like how Hank Aaron was named for the Silver Slugger Award and like Cy Young got his own award.
Yes.
The Carlos Gomez Award
is just being an insufferable teammate and you hate him when you're on the other team. Yes.
I love it.
Because remember the John Ryan Murphy incident too. When he got into it with John Ryan Murphy when he's on the Astros, he got into it with him and they were jawing in home plate before Gomez was walking away and J.R. Murphy's like 5'10". And
Right.
Gomez is he's a bigger guy than people think.
Yeah.
But he's scrappy. And he's just something prompted it. I don't remember what it was, but
It might have been hitting a ball that hit the foul pole like on a home run. And he just ran around tapping his helmet 20 times.
You know what it was? He had a pop up and he made a scene out of it. And I don't think Murphy or the Yankee dugout really he didn't run hard to first base on the pop up. And the Yankee dugout said something to him as he was going, and he was like talking to them. It's like,
oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, this is a while ago. This is like 2 years ago.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gomez, he's done so much.
Good player.
Good player, a lot of talent. He's just done so much that just makes me shake my head at him.
He's the kind of guy, if I played with him, I'd probably get along with him just because, we're brothers on and off the field because you're on the same team as me. But you're not the first person I'm going to if I need a flat tire changed.
Right.
To put it lightly.
Starting in right field, probably a guy who plays with his hair on fire more than anyone in the league, Bryce Harper.
Yeah, Bryce Harper. Especially the Hunter Strickland incident. I know getting hit with a fastball, 100-mile-an-hour fastball isn't the greatest feeling
that
ever.
was Strickland's fault.
It was.
That was 100% straight. Even when you go back to like the previous postseason years when he hit a couple home runs off of Strickland.
Oh, I know.
Those were emotional playoff games.
And I've gotten into this
that he crushed. It's not like they were wall scrapers. He beat you 450 feet.
Well, I've argued this with people before. If I'm Bryce Harper, I know I've owned you in the past. If you hit me, that's a sign that you're inferior to me, that you can't get me out. Right. I'm walking to first base and I'm smiling at you. I'm not initiating because then you're stooping down to his level.
I hear what you're saying. That's the key right there, stooping down to his level because Strickland wants to be petty and hit you because you got success off him. Take first base.
Well,
you know what, Bryce Harper? You're fast. You're athletic. Steal second. Now you're in scoring position.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Do it the right way. And the good example I use is if your little cousin beats you in a game, a board game, and he throws the board game or whatever, and the next time you lose and then you do the same thing, you're at his level now, right?
Exactly.
And conceptually it's the same. It's not obviously the same, but conceptually it's the same, I think.
I agree.
So.
I agree in those regards. Starting pitcher. I could probably come up with someone better than who you have. I did not think of pitching. You went to that. I just went with the 9 positions.
Okay.
Or the 8 positions. Sorry, but you did the luxury of doing a starting pitcher, a setup man, and a closer. So if this starting pitcher went 7, then you went to the setup man in the 8th and the closer in the 9th. You have Marcus Stroman starting the game for you.
Yes, Marcus Stroman
for this team.
His 75 chains, and how he stares in at every batter whenever he doesn't get a call. And how he yells after every inning when he gets a runner on. It's like, I love your passion for the game, but boy, are you insufferable to play against. And you know this firsthand. Marcus Stroman is a very, very outgoing, feisty individual. And he's a chatterbox, too.
He is.
So, I mean, I'm sure we can come up with different examples, but that's the first.
I'm sure we can, too. I'm trying to run through my brain real quick. trying to think of guys who I just don't like, who I don't like more than him.
David Price, maybe?
No, see, I don't have anything against Price. I have more of a problem than Sale's face than I do Price.
Okay.
Just look at Sale's face. He can't grow, like, he cannot grow a full beard. It is patchy in 3 or 4 different areas, and just it does not connect, and it just bothers me.
I think that's the least of his worries right now. I think he's riding high.
So then you go. Now, me and you are different here. I would. Hansel Robles is the setup man.
Yeah.
What bothers you? What bothers you about?
Do you remember Mark Teixeira stealing signs or faux stealing signs against him in Yankee Stadium?
Oh,
few
yeah.
years ago.
That was Hansel Robles?
That was Hansel Robles on the
Never mind. I agree with you 100%.
And he's staring down Teixeira, stepping off, chatting, and then when Teixeira's going off the field, he's like, don't steal my signs. He's like, I'm not.
I agree with you 100% now. I totally forgot that was Robles.
That was him.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, he fully deserves to be on this team. That's part of baseball. If you can pick it up, help your team out. You know what that's like? That's like trying to pick up the third base coach's signs or the manager's signs so that you can try to tell if the runner that he has on base is stealing or not. Because then that would sway you into thinking pitch out or slide step or pickoff.
Exactly.
You know,
it's part of the game.
Right.
Disguise it better. It's your fault. But no, I remember Teixeira, standing on second base. Excuse me, Hansel Robles having a conversation with the catcher. I think it was Rene Rivera at the time. And I remember Teixeira giving like fake signs toward Robles to throw. It was hysterical. I loved it.
Oh man! And now I have Fernando Rodney as my closer, and the bow and arrow thing does it for me. Maybe it's me being a little too hard on his personality, but it bothers me.
I don't think
so
Rodney's
much.
a bad guy. I just think when he closes games, that's his ritual. I don't think he's a bad guy necessarily.
Okay, then wearing the hat literally sideways.
Okay, that bothers me a little bit.
Yeah. Like,
but Pineda
no, Pineda does it a little crooked. CeCe does it a little
Fernando
crooked the
wears
other way.
It like...
Fernando wears it literally 180 degrees sideways.
Okay, yeah, I see it now.
Maybe not 180, but 165 degrees.
I had to roll this Chapman just because I know I try not to be biased, but like the whole
Thank you for not trying to be biased.
The whole Instagram thing with Joe Girardi liking the comment about him, how he's an imbecile and he should go. And you don't do that.
You don't do that. Not when you're still in a World Series contention.
Right. And I know I'm a Yankee fan. I love Chapman. I love when he throws 170 miles an hour. I love when he stares at everyone.
So he had a problem with Joe Madden using him multiple innings just about every game last year. The Cubs won the World Series. He has a problem with Girardi this year using him for 30-plus pitches on more than one occasion. Again. But, dude, you're the best pitcher in the game. Don't you want a ring?
Yeah. When he's on, he's the best closer in baseball. Easily. Bar none.
Probably the best we've ever seen.
Ooh, Chapman?
Dude, we were both... I was born in 94. You were born in 95? 96.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably.
Like
I have a very vague memory of Eric Gagne on his streak. Also, one of the best closers I've ever seen.
You're saying Chapman could be the best closer ever?
I've ever seen.
Mariano Rivera. Okay.
I agree with you.
Let me clarify.
Yeah, 600 saves as a bit of the team statistic, and that cutter is unhittable. But and Mariano can sell out a crowd by himself, but so can Chapman.
Okay, I see what you mean in terms of dominance.
Yes.
Like Chapman can strike out the side on 10 pitches. Mariano will induce he'll break.
I hate when you make me eat my words.
He'll break your bat.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean, but in a do or die,
I'm wrong. I'm wrong, aren't I?
No, you're not wrong. No, it's your opinion.
No, I'm telling myself I'm wrong.
Okay.
Because I totally forgot. Probably the most important stat ever in Major League history. The only one that matters on Mariano Rivera's future Hall of Fame ballot. More men have walked on the moon than have scored off of Rivera in the postseason. And it's not like he's played in 1 or 2 postseasons. He's played in 16 or 17, I believe.
Sounds about right, yeah.
I believe 17 postseasons he's played in.
Okay.
And he's given up 11 total runs. Unearned or earned, 11 total runs have scored with Mariano being on the mound. 12 people have walked on the moon.
Yes. Yeah, he didn't throw 105. It just wasn't him. He'd break your bat. You'd ground out, you'd pop up, and you'd strike out backdoor.
The plate is 17 and a half inches long, and if you're a lefty, he would throw it 18 and a half inches the first 59 or so feet, and then that last foot, it would cut that extra inch and just get that backdoor cutter strike three.
Yes.
And
concur.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
That's okay. No, I know what you meant. Don't worry.
I still think Rodney should be on this team more than Chapman, but
okay, sure, we can debate that.
All right, but that's gonna end for that one. So to recap, starting positions would be Martin Maldonado, Miguel Cabrera, Rougned Odor, Machado at third, Yunel Escobar at short. Then the outfield, left, center, right would be Puig, Carlos Gomez, Bryce Harper. Marcus Stroman would give you 7, Hansel Robles in the 8th, and Chapman or Rodney in the 9th.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's a really good team. I hate those guys, but they are a good team.
That's still a playoff team.
I agree.
My God.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of the starting rotation or bullpen, but that's still if that's your starting lineup in Game 7 of the World Series, you might win. You can win.
Yes.
So now we're gonna go on to Kenny's weekly trivia. Do you have anything for us this week?
Yeah, I do. I forgot it though. I'll remember in a second, but I gotta rehash it. Yeah.
Didn't write it down in your phone?
Yes, I'll do that. But weren't we gonna talk about war though?
We were gonna talk about war. I wanted to get to your trivia question, but if you want to think about that, we can go on to the war topic, and that is war. The stat wins above replacement, and why I just hate it.
I do too.
I do. So you don't need war to tell you that Mike Trout is a good player. Mike Trout is like the poster child for war that people like to go to. Like, oh, look at Mike Trout's war. It's incredible. You know what that tells me? Mike Trout's a great player. Not taking anything away from him. The eyeball test can tell you that. What the war stat tells me is the Angels have no center field depth in their organization.
No.
Because wins above replacement is not wins above your replacement in the respective league. So it's not like if you replaced Mike Trout with George Springer in center field, how much more wins would he give you?
It's a AAA.
That would make sense, because then it would be like, oh, it'll give you a sense of how great he was in his era and who he played with in his time. No, it's replacement, like you said. Kenny, go ahead.
It's replacement player based on the league average statistics for the so-called hypothetical league average player from AAA coming up.
Right.
It's like a baseline.
So it's basically if your AAA center fielder came up to take your place, how much less wins would your team have? Or how much more wins would you account for than that player?
Right.
Mike Trout has a tremendous WAR. Obviously, he's head to toe the best center fielder in the game overall.
He's the best player in baseball.
He is.
He is.
And yeah, obviously he's going to have a high WAR. You know who else had one of the highest WARs in history? Babe Ruth. No duh. Okay, now if you tell me that based on around the league, you know, if you want to look at certain things, based around the league, Starlin Castro has the second highest WAR, only behind Jose Altuve. And that's around the league. That's like comparing him to other guys in the league. I'd be like, wow, Castro's really underrated. He's really good. Wow, but no, if it's because he has a really high WAR, but you got Tony Womack being your AAA second baseman and he's your replacement, then all of a sudden that stat means nothing to me.
No, I know exactly what you mean. And it bothers me because there's a lot of subjectivity to it. Infield shifts greatly hamper your defense, which affect your D-WAR, which overall impact your WAR in general. Shifting's my biggest issue. The way to calculate it, nobody knows how to calculate WAR. Fangraphs and Baseball Reference have two different ways of doing it. Fangraphs
and they're not close.
They're not close.
So like Mike Trout on Fangraphs has, I believe, 5 more wins above his replacement than Baseball Reference does.
Yeah. And I think pitching leans more I forgot which favors who. Either way, I remember reading an article from 2014, roughly, that Alex Gordon had the second highest WAR in all of baseball at one point. And you know why, right? Because he plays amazing defense.
Fine.
Defense, Mark Teixeira's defensive WAR was skewed because the Yankees shifted so much. He has great range for a first baseman.
Don't use defensive WAR. Use defensive runs saved. How many more balls in the gap or down the line is he diving and catching? How many more people is he throwing out at trying to tag or trying to score from second on a single? How many more times is he doing that than the next left fielder?
Well, this is going to sound... I agree with that. And this is going to sound a little pompous, but I can tell. I've watched a lot of baseball in my life. I know who's good and who's not.
I agree with you.
It sounds very
I agree with you 100%.
Like,
the eyeball test does a lot. Your eyes say a lot.
Because your eyes watching... Obviously, okay, let me clarify. WAR is fine for the front office guys who want to determine value for free agency.
Like
that's
arbitration,
okay. They
that kind of
can't
thing?
watch
Okay.
every game. That's okay.
Fine.
I get that. But for me, the fan, the hardcore fan, who likes to watch games and like be the manager, I know if that's a ball he can get to. I know if he should have made that play. I know if he should have beat that ground ball. Those little things over the course of 162 games add up, and your WAR is skewed based on those little things.
Basically.
I just don't think it's that objective of a stat when it comes to just talking about players. For front office value, sure, why not? But I don't care. I'm not a GM.
In terms of determining how good a player is based on his skill, I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
It just makes no sense to me.
It's too subjective to me, especially because of the whole defense thing, the shifting. I just don't like it. And by the way, robbing a home run in a big game means the same as robbing a home run in a 15-run game. So
makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
So if you're up 15-0 and you rob a home run, you're already going to win that game.
And I just think the game factors that go into it are way, way too out of our heads. Like I said, if you sit on a 2-1 slider and rip into the gap for a double, that's a positive thing. But if you're late on a 2-1 fastball, that's not good. It's too subjective. Like there's slumps. There's hots. Everyone goes through those.
Yeah.
It's just too subjective. I don't like it. You can't quantify a player's worth in one stat.
I know. You got to look at everything. So before we get to your trivia question, do you remember it?
Yeah, I got
Okay,
it.
so before we get to that, the Nationals will start Steven Strasburg.
So he's feeling well enough to pitch, basically.
Right.
Okay.
So then you probably got Gio for Game 5 if you force it.
Which you should do.
Okay.
I'm not throwing Tanner.
So go ahead, Ken. Hit me with it.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
How many at-bats did Travis Ishikawa have for the New York Yankees total in his stint?
I totally forgot he was a Yankee.
He was.
Totally forgot.
How many at-bats? Not how many games. How many at-bats did he have?
Can you tell me how many games?
1.
What?
1. He had 1 game with the Yankees.
So what did he have his normal 3 at-bats? I'll say, yeah.
What's your guess? 3?
Yeah, like a normal game. Got up 3 times. Then that's it.
Nope. 2 at-bats.
Yeah, 2 at-bats.
He was.
So did he get like a walk as a plate appearance?
No,
Like,
he struck out and popped up.
Ew.
And then he was pinch hit for Mark Teixeira, or Mark Teixeira pinch hit for him.
Travis Ishikawa.
And then he was designated for assignment the day after.
Travis
Ishikawa.
Forever known as hitting a walk-off home run to send the Giants to the 2012 World Series.
I think that sounds right, yeah.
Yeah. He hit a walk-off home run to send the Giants
He
to the World
played a-
Series. Can't remember if it was 2012 or 2014. Definitely wasn't 2010.
I think it was 2012.
Okay.
But he was a big part of their postseason roster. He was huge. And he did nothing for them. He is just a forgotten speck of dust in the air.
Boy, what is it about San Francisco Giants postseason heroes coming to the American League East and just
Yeah.
Cody Ross on the Red Sox had a couple home runs and everything, helped the Red Sox a little bit in 2013, but I mean he wasn't like great. Then you got Pablo Sandoval for the Red Sox, and we all know how that turned out. And then you got Travis Ishikawa with his 2 at-bats as a Yankee.
Oh, yeah.
Good for him.
That's a coincidence in itself, but boy, is that telling.
Oh, man. But that's going to do it for this 47-minute session of A.K.47 Baseball Podcast. So until next week, I'm Austin Speaker.
I'm Kenny Stables.
Night, everyone.